Hi, everyone. All right. How's everyone doing? Thank you for tuning in. We'll just wait for a few more people to join into the live. Hi, happy Kwanzaa. Alrighty. Happy Kwanzaa, everyone. Welcome to the Ujima celebration hosted by the Benton Harbor Community Development Corporation. I am Ashley Hines, the Executive Director and Founder of the Benton Harbor CDC. Happy Kwanzaa, Courtney, sorry. Thank you all for joining us on the third night of Kwanzaa. As a lot of you who've been following us for some time know that the CDC was founded under the belief that together we can all make a difference in our community. And so it was really important for us to bring people together on this third day of Kwanzaa to celebrate Ujima, which means collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and solve them together. So there may be a lot of people who are tuning in tonight who's wondering, well, what exactly is Kwanzaa? So Kwanzaa is a very special tradition within the African American community. It is sorry, someone's going on. It is a non-religious holiday where we come together to recommit our focus of our community, our heritage, and our families. So without further ado, I would like to invite our program director, Ms. Kamani McAfee, to tell us a little bit more about Kwanzaa.
Greetings, how's everyone? So yes, today I just wanted to talk more. I'll give like a overview of Kwanzaa, why it was created, and just some of the different items that people use in their Kwanzaa celebrations. So it was founded in 1966 by Dr. Mulana Kiringa. And the name Kwanzaa, basically originated from a phrase Matunanda Yi Kwanzaa, which means the first fruits in Swahili. And later on in our celebration, you'll see that we'll be lighting the Kinara, and the candles of the Kinara that we'll be lighting represent seven principles. So Kwanzaa is open. It is to any religion because it's a non-religious holiday, and it's meant to be celebrated by communities, people, and of African culture. And so it was created basically out of the African diaspora, and descendants of those basically forcibly removed from the continent, often called foundational Black Americans. So, and it's about reclaiming our African core values, so positive practices and histories of African culture, and then collective consciousness across the diaspora. And it definitely can help stimulate self determination. So, just that change within, speaking and defining and creating oneself, and then a framework for living and leaving a legacy here. And so the first Kwanzaa was celebrated in LA. So that's where it started, but it just, gained a lot of popularity. And some of the symbols, again, are the Kanara, where you'll see the seven candles. For the table placement, normally, there's gifts that are given. So each day of Kwanzaa, you get a gift. And there is a unity cup that is often passed around. And have ears of corn and crops that are given. And one of the favorite parts of Kwanzaa for people that celebrate are the Karamu, and this is the collective feast. So you'll definitely uh, see different dishes that are traditional to foundational Black Americans, and then even some traditional African dishes. So now I would like to bring on Danny Jennings, and he will be introducing our speaker.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Danny Jennings. I'm an instructor here in Benton Harbor, Michigan. I'm a baseball coach. I am a youth development professional, a speaker, great friend of mine of over 20 years, Dr. Earl Fisher, a movement and ministerial leader at the forefront of social justice and Black liberation efforts in Memphis, Tennessee, and beyond. Earl J. Fisher was born September 26, 1978 in Benton Harbor, Michigan to Minister Claudia Fisher and Mr. Earl Bradley. He sojourned to Memphis, Tennessee in the fall of 1999 on a full-ride athletic scholarship to play basketball at Lemoyne College, school we went to at the same time. He earned a bachelor's degree of science in computer science in 2003 and subsequently obtained his Master's of Divinity degree in May of 2008 from Memphis Theological Seminary and is ordained in the Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, and Missionary Baptist denominations. In 2018, Reverend Fisher earned a Doctor of Philosophy in Communication from the University of Memphis and currently serves as Senior Pastor of Abyssinian Baptist Church in Memphis, Tennessee. As a community organizer, Pastor Earl co-organized the Memphis Grassroots Organizations Coalition in August of 2015 in response to the brutal death of Darius Stewart by Memphis police officer Connor Schilling. Spearheading initiatives in criminal justice reform, media accountability, the removal of Confederate monuments, and voter empowerment, Dr. Fisher formed Up the Vote 901 in November of 2017 to give more political power to more people and increase voter turnout in Memphis and Shelby County. Dr. Fisher teaches religion and humanities at several local colleges and universities and is the 2019-2020 Henry Logan Starks Fellow at Memphis Theological Seminary. Dr. Fisher has been affirmed as a pastor, professor, and urban prophet. Most of Dr. Fisher's work focuses on the African American religious rhetoric, contemporary rhetorical theory, Black liberation, theology, and the prophetic persona of Albert Cleves Jr. Dr. Fisher is a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha, husband of one wife, Denise, father of one son, Jalen, believer in one God, and friend of many and mentor of many. So without further ado, my man.
Hobarigani, peace and love, brothers, sisters, friends, and kin. It is good to be with you. Let me first and foremost thank the Benton Harbor CDC for allowing me to participate in this wonderful celebration of our people, our history, and our heritage. In many ways, I feel like I'm back at home and I miss home. So it's good to be home. Special thanks to Sister Ashley, who I want to tease a little bit because when she extended the invitation through her pastor, who was one of my closest colleagues in ministry and a dear brother that I encourage everybody to get to know more about, Reverend Dr. Heber Brown III. She sent word through him, who introduced us, to ask me if I would participate. And he made sure to let me know that she was from Benton Harbor. And I made sure to tell him, you had me at Benton Harbor, which is to say, anything my beloved hometown asks of me, I want to try to do my best to accommodate. And I was cool with Ashley until she posted the other day that her pastor was the coolest pastor on the planet. And I begged to differ. And so I said, no, he might be the second. And then she gonna say it's a tie. So I'm still putting Ashley on the hot seat until I figure all of this out. But moreover, maybe not moreover, but just as much, to my dear friend of over 20 years, Danny Tate Jennings, I just thank God for him and for his friendship and for our brotherhood over our journey together. And I want to thank him today that he did not spill all of the tea or all of the beans about all that we've been through over the past 20 years. I would just sum it all up by saying, I understand what the elders and ancestors used to say when they say, God has brought us from a mighty long way. Ashley also had the audacity to tell me what my time limit was. I don't think she knows the scope of what it means to be a Black Baptist preacher, you're not supposed to give me a time limit, but I'll do my best, Ashley, to stay within the time limit. I'm going to accomplish my assignment in hopefully less than 15 minutes, and y'all can start the clock now. I want to talk to us for a few minutes about United Spiderwebs. United Spiderwebs. In 1973, almost 50 years ago, a Black Journal special pulled together some of our most venerable elders and ancestors. Fannie Lou Hamer was there. Kwame Ture, who we knew at the time as Stokely Carmichael, was there. Angela Davis was there. William Bill Lucy and several others were there. They actually called them the Congress of Black Spokespersons and Leaders for Black America. They spent 90 minutes discussing all manner of issues and proposals related to the social, political, economic, and even theological plight of our people. And after almost an hour of riveting dialogue, a peculiar question was posed. I say peculiar, at least in part because it is still being presented in one iteration or another almost 50 years later, all over our country, especially in Black communities like Benton Harbor or Memphis or Baltimore or Chicago or Detroit or Birmingham or Atlanta. Somebody asked if it was possible to persuade all the major Black or Negro organizations to dedicate a few of their staff to develop an agenda, a Black people's agenda, and after which to use the organizational networks to verify the agenda and then rally Black folks in the country to begin promoting the agenda items and ensure that they would be actualized over the next 4 years. Now, on the surface, this question and query seems to embody the tenets of Kwanzaa by which we are gathered today, or have at least been celebrating up to this point, umoja or unity. Look at how they said all the major Black or Negro organizations. What we celebrated yesterday, Kujichagulia or self-determination. Notice it was not a male or female agenda, not a Democratic or Republican agenda, not a liberal or conservative agenda. It was a Black people's agenda that they were asking for, a Black people's agenda formed by Black people. And it also, in many ways, embodied what we celebrate today, or Ujima, collective work and responsibility, whereby everyone has a hand in the manifestation of the collective will as articulated by the agenda. But the ensuing discussion laid bare the same truths that I think Kwanzaa seeks to highlight for us. These questions assert and assume certain things about where we are and how we've arrived at this moment. They expose for us that James Baldwin was right when he said that to be Black in our yet to be United States is to be African without memory and American without any privilege. The framework of this question, like, can't we all just come together? Can't we all just get along? It presupposes that we've done no such strategizing or organizing up to this point. Bill Lucy pointed out that the main agenda items for Black empowerment and liberation been identified since, at the very least, the Niagara movement with the early 1900s, and up to, at that time when they had this discussion, the National Black Political Conference in Gary, Indiana, not too far from Benton Harbor, in 1972. Bill Lucy, if I could use some preacher vernacular, made my soul happy when he shifted gears and lamented that part of our problem is that we traditionally convene leadership and forget to convene people. Let me put it another way. We often tend to convene leadership, but never seek to engage fellowship. Leadership, but not convening people. People like who Sly Stone called everyday people. People who, like John Legend, called ordinary people. People like we see every day on East May or Empire or Broadway or Union or Napier. Everyday people, ordinary people. See, this is something that Kwanzaa examines and exemplifies. We should ask ourselves, what does it mean to unify and organize and empower everyday people and ordinary people? What does it look like for us to understand that if any of us are oppressed and left out, if any of us are looked over or cast aside, then it is to the peril and the persecution of all of us. We have to ask ourselves today, how might we manage our affairs when we come to the realization that there are no political saviors and there are no super Negroes? My apologies to those who were waiting on their December 21st superpowers, and y'all can let me know how that's working out for y'all after this is over. The reality is our unity, our self determination, and our collective work and responsibility require a mutual and equitable investment and sacrifice, not just from politicians, not just from pastors, not just from police officers or principals, but also from factory workers, also from daycare operators and small business owners, also from students and janitors. Now, let me repeat, an equitable investment and sacrifice. See, the reason Tennessee is a worldwide hotspot for COVID 19 and Memphis and Shelby County is ground zero is because most people think our work is not collective and therefore we act irresponsibly. Let me bring it to 49022. The reason the murder rate is what it is in Memphis and Benton Harbor, Michigan, is not solely the mayor's responsibility. It's not solely due to a lack of attentiveness by maybe the school board or some city council people, or county commission people, or state representatives. It's not all on parents, it's not all on children. By the time we get to a space like this, hear me clearly, there is enough blame to go around and there is blood on everybody's hands. And the only way we remedy where we are is to embrace the reality that our work has to be a collective and our responsibility has to be a collective responsibility. My hope is that Kwanzaa might usher in a more collective and responsible approach to our well-being as we seek to move into 2021. See, Kwanzaa in general and Ujima in particular is not some pitch for everybody to become entrepreneurs or stock market aficionados because capitalism won't emancipate us. It's not about creating a homogenous society where everybody looks the same or thinks the same or dresses the same or worships at the same church or mosque or synagogue. It's not that everybody would love the same way in their personal lives because assimilation will not empower us. It's about learning to value and validate the diversity amongst us. It's about affirming and acknowledging that it's not United Airlines. It was not United Postal Services, but that Ethiopian proverb taught us it's united spider webs that tie up lions. Because every species of spider realizes the strength of interconnectedness. And when spiders are trying to tie up lions, when we are trying to embrace our collective work and responsibility, we don't have time to argue over who's most important between the brown recluse or the tarantula, whose webbing is the stickiest or the thickest or looks the best. We see the end goal of tying up the lion and learning how to become and appreciate everyone who's joining us in the process. It means to recognize the truth in the Christian scripture that says some may plant and some may water, but only God, only the divine, only the creator of the universe can give us an increase. Ujima is about shared struggle for mutual success. Because what we have right now is far too many people pointing fingers at other folks who think they should be bearing the brunt or the burden of Black liberation. Let me confess to y'all, I get a call or a text message or an email or inbox. They say you probably get this stuff too. I mean, every week from somebody, Ashley, who feels like they should be advising me or advising other movement leaders on how we should organize, mobilize other folks. That's not bad on the surface, but here's the problem. What's sad is it generally comes from people who never organized or mobilized anybody or anything. So I reflexively and responsibly pivot right back to them and say, you know what, that's a great idea. How about you take the lead? Because freedom and liberation does not come from armchair commentators or Monday morning quarterbacks. It comes from people who are willing to get their own hands and feet dirty. It comes from people who know how to lead and how to follow. It comes from people who have the audacity and the authority to use their own courage, their own compassion, and creativity to usher in a more just and equitable world order, even if they don't get their name in the Herald Palladium, or if they don't get their face on the news, or if their organization never makes the history of the record books. The fact of the matter is, we are up against a lion of white supremacist evil and injustice. And folk in Benton Harbor need to know this. I'm talking about a lion of white supremacist evil and injustice that won't let up on us while we try to shift gears from spider webs to more sophisticated weaponry. And I just want to challenge everybody in my beloved hometown, everybody under the sound of my voice, as the preacher would say, everybody connected to this today. We should not utter one word of negativity or critique or disdain for anybody who has the nerve to protest or teach or write or build or pray and preach and engage in any act of resistance till we know we have done all we can do to work towards our collective liberation. I see some folk on Facebook. I need y'all to type collective liberation. I'm not talking about somebody's individual promotion. I'm not talking about some individual or separate upgrade or level up. I'm talking about collective liberation. We should affirm every meaningful measure of resistance against white supremacy, even the militant ones. That's the spirit of Ujima. As Dr. Karenga said, it's about building and maintaining our community together and making our brothers, sisters, friends, and kin's problem our problems and solving them together. It's about the self-conscious and committed people shaping our future with our own minds and hands and sharing in its hardships and benefits. I think it's too many of us who want to reap a whole bunch of rewards while everybody else takes all the risk. In other words, it's time out for us coming up with solutions for people with whom we have no working relationship with. It's past time for any of us bragging about being brought to tables when we are too ignorant or immature to realize we're still on the menu. Too many of us can't seem to read or just don't recognize the smell of fried Negro or the taste of blackened nigger. We just happy to be at the table. But I digress. It's time for spider webs to unite and tie up these lines. It's time to embrace that struggle. That's what these Black leaders realized over 50 years ago. In 1970, Stokely chimed in on the exchange and he said, many times we don't understand that unity is a struggle. And he's right. It will be a struggle for us to build the type of webs that tie up lions. But I believe Benton Harbor is up for it. Surviving 2020 up to this point means we've been through some of the darkest moments in recent memory. But let me tell you what I learned, and I'm done. I learned a little something about what's called an irregular web. An irregular web is not like an orb web that's more common. See, orb webs tend to be built for travel purposes to help spiders get from one point to the next. Irregular webs are not like funnel webs. Those are more common too. And they tend to be about protecting a location and keeping something out. But irregular webs are different in part because they're built at nighttime. They're built when it's dark. Irregular webs tend to be built to capture an enemy. And I got a sneaky suspicion because I know Benton Harbor and I know my people. Those of us who have survived the darkness of 2020, if we have been focused on the end goal, we should have been doing a little web weaving in the darkness, a little planning in the darkness, a little plotting, a little strategizing, a little organizing and mobilizing. And sooner or later, maybe in 2021 or 2022, or at some point, our collective work and responsibility will capture this enemy. Our irregular webs will tie up these lions of evil and hatred and white supremacy and patriarchy and xenophobia and manifest for us a fuller sense of social justice, equity, and Black liberation. And all of God's children said together, Ashe and Amen.
Ashe, you said a lot, Reverend Fisher. Thank you so much for that. And just hearing you speak about, the importance of unity. I know that we did a community call a couple months ago at this point with a lot of the community leaders, and we asked them, what does the ideal Benton Harbor look like for you? And one of the participants, Elizabeth McCree, she said, it looks like this diversification of Blackness. And what that meant to me was that, it's not about us, trying to make people fit a certain mold, but it's recognizing and honoring the uniqueness that all of us bring to the table. And I say it all the time with working through the CDC, that the gift and the assets of this community, it's not the water, it's not the land by the water, it is the people here that makes Benton Harbor what it is. And until we cultivate that and learn from that and build our programming and our solutions around the people and what their needs are and what their talents are, it won't be an equitable future for Benton Harbor, and that is why the CDC is here. So thank you so much for that word. It's very powerful. That's so much to really think about from that. So thank you for that. At this time, we are going to move forward with our program in lighting the Kinara. And so I'm going to invite a few people on to join me. The first is Miss Jasminique Newburn, who is an educator, community leader, and entrepreneur in the city of Benton Harbor. And then Ms. Takidra Masters, who's now a college student, but the 2020 Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year from the city of Benton Harbor, and also one of our board members, Elder Maurice Burton, who is stealing a snack. Come on. All righty, thank you so much.
Are you ready?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So good evening, everyone. It's such an honor and a privilege to be here with you all. Again, my name is Jasmine Newburn. I have the honor, oh my goodness, of lighting the Kinara. I do think that this is a very sacred time, especially with celebrating, because lighting candles, that was also something that was done early on in our time. So I'm very honored. As you can see on the table, we do celebrate with fruit. We do have fruit here with the 7 candles. The first principle of Kwanzaa is Umoja, which means unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. And I will start by lighting the black candle in the middle, and I would like each candle from this one to show the unity.
All right. The second principle of Kwanzaa is Kujichagulia, which means self-determination. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves.
The third principle is Ujima, which we are celebrating today. It means collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, solve them together.
The next principle, the fourth principle, is Ujima, or cooperative economics, which we'll be celebrating tomorrow. It means to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses and profit from them together.
The fifth principle of Kwanzaa is Nia, which means to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional traits.
I don't know what the last one is. The next principle, the sixth principle, is Kuumba, or creativity, which is to always do as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it.
And the last principle is Imani, our faith. To believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies, for that. That was beautiful. All right, and so now I am going to invite on Nicholas Blue, who has a really strong message and important information to share with the men of the community. I think I may have lost Nick. So while we're waiting for Nick to join us, I'm going to bring Kumani in, if that's okay. Hey,
Greetings.
Kumani. Like Nick came back in.
Okay.
I'm gonna shoot the breeze with you until he came back, but thank you.
Okay.
All right, you got this, Nick?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, I'm going to step out.
Oh, all right. So I just wanted to come in and thanks for the opportunity. And to be real quick, we talk about collective work and responsibility. I kind of just want to call us out, us as Black men in Benton Harbor. I'm a born and raised Benton Harbor Tiger, and I'm a Benton Harbor alum, and really want to do whatever we can to kind of address the elephant in the room right now, which is the crime and the violence that's in our city, that is really taking the young men and women in our city. So in the next week or two, we'll put some information out, but I'm really calling out all the Black men in the city, that's leaders, that's non-vocal leaders, that's coaches, mentors, pastors, anyone who want to make a change. I'm really calling you out to come. Let's brainstorm. We have an initiative that we're going to start, and really just calling us out because the time is now. If we're seeing what's going on in our community, we have to make a change. So I just want to invite you all out. Stay tuned for that information.
Thank you so much, Nick. So like Nick said, just addressing the elephant in the room, it's really time to work together on this. And I think that this is something that, the men in our community really need to can have a voice in and show up for us, because our babies, our kids, they really need us. And so on January 7th, Nick is going to be hosting a meeting with the men of the community. So after this event, we'll be able to share that information with you. And if you're interested in finding out more information about that, please contact the CDC and we'll get that out to you. But we'll also be posting the information of how you can register to attend this meeting as well. And so with that being said, our next, our last speaker or performer of the evening is Miss Amnia Zar. Amnia is a Benton Harbor High School alum, singer, songwriter, all-around glamorous goddess who is really making great waves in the city of Baltimore now and beyond. She is very talented singer, and she has graced us with a performance tonight. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Amnia.
Peace and blessings, VH, Habari Ghani. Let's make this collective work and responsibility easy. So I'm gonna start it off. Let's go. No time for complications. I need my concentration. And this equation, this is needed for me. But I have my shit drama. I need some better. I need some tea and jazz. Hey, it's time. Something how to get the power. We get fit for some fun, so go be there with the scholars. And power to the God that you represent. I love how you represent, never let me. Yeah, I'm making it easy like Sunday. Easy like Sunday. I'm making it easy like Sunday. Easy like Sunday. Morning. I'm making it easy like Sunday. Easy like Sunday. I make it easy like Sunday, easy like. Don't prepare me for it. You never would have thought it's high. Gonna take it on a supernatural ride. No, you cannot get nothing. You cannot take it from me. I'm flying so free that no one protecting my peace. So tell me, do you want a silent foot? Yeah. Just baby, I can show you what I'm trying to do. I'll tell you, I make it easy like Sunday. Easy like Sunday. I make it easy like Sunday. Easy like Sunday morning. Take it easy like. Ooh, I make it easy like Sunday. Easy like. So tell me how you gonna get it. Yeah, it's so divine, don't forget it. I don't know what to take it for, but don't get it wrong. You better pull up on me like you don't look right. Yeah, I must be you're just kind of high. I have you acting so anxious. I know you feel it right. I know you see the light. So come step inside, so I can know your mind. I'll make it easy like Sunday. I'll make it it easy like Sunday. Easy like. I make it easy like. Cabbage patch if you can't dance. Easy like. Catch you summer blood, better sing the glass. Easy like. First level Mario, the trip with the days. But that's on Rosario. Easy like. Backboard land when you getting high. Easy like. Take a flight and meet up at the same spot. Easy like. Sunday. Easy like Sunday. I make it easy like Sunday. Easy like Sunday. Oh, I make it easy like Sunday. Easy like Sunday. Ooh, I make it easy like Sunday. Easy like. Thank you, Ashley Hines and the Ben Harbor CDC. Appreciate you so much. Habari Gani. Let's continue to grow. Peace.
Sorry, Danny. Thank you so much, Abdia. That was amazing. And thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Kamani, do you want to say anything before we head out?
No, I mean, yes, of course I do. I did want to say thank you for everybody that came. Thank you, Amnia, for providing that lovely performance. The pastor that was on here, Pastor Fisher, Reverend Fisher. Oh my God. That was a good message, definitely a way to end the year and just kind of message to end the year and definitely take it into our new year, take it into all our programming. So yeah, we definitely appreciate the support that we're getting. We definitely are looking forward to more support through the year. So in January, as Ashley said, we will be launching our housing programming. And then also from the community support services, we'll have some classes coming in February.
Yeah. So speaking of what Kumani just spoke about, our home buying class registration for that is going to begin on January 1st, along with our cloud engineering technology course. So that's going to be launching next month. In a couple of days at this point as well. So we're really excited about that to get to work. We have a lot of other great things that are planned for this first quarter of the year. So we're really excited to share with you all. And then also, our website has not launched yet, but it will pretty soon. But I want to show off our cool shirts that we designed for this. So these shirts are this outline, for those of you who may not recognize it, is the actual city limits of Benton Harbor. And so these shirts are also going to be for sale. So if you want, you can buy them through our website. But in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me if you guys are interested in purchasing the shirt. So thank you. And with that, have a good night.
Good evening.
Bye.